what were our last words to each other? Because, I hadn't seen her all day, and I was at work, and she was at work, and I hate that the first time I think of her, it has to be the horrible thing that happened to her. And then, I can remember the good times and all that, but first I have to remember what happened to her. That's the hardest part.
Carolyn Pratt was only 17 years old when tragedy struck for her and her family.
He was pretty abusive, we would get in knockdown, drag-out fights, and I don't know. It's hard to remember if there was a good time. I'm sure there must have been, but he was just angry all the time.
And that anger is what led Pratt's ex-boyfriend, Gary Haugen, to commit an unthinkable crime.
I was at work at the airport, and I got a call at the front desk. I was a driver outside around the airport, but they called me to the front desk for a phone call, and it was the police. And they told me over the phone that they were at my house and that they found my mom. They're dead. And I can't even describe how I reacted, but I was freaking out, And, someone asked me what was going on, and I just kind of yelled it out that, they said my mom was dead and I had to go home. And we had a station wagon that they shuttled customers around at the airport, and my coworker and just said, "Well, get in, I'm taking you," and he gave me a ride home in the work car. And then, I just remember thinking, for some reason I knew that it had been him that did it, even before they gave me any more information.
Haugen was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility for parole until he murdered a fellow inmate, David Pollan. From there, former Governor of Oregon John Kitzhaber was faced with a tough decision.
I'm exercising my authority as governor to issue a temporary reprieve in the case of Gary Haugen during the remainder of my term in office.
Kitzhaber's decision was not taken lightly by Pratt and her family, but she does empathize with the former governor's position.
He does have that choice, and that's the other side of the coin as to thinking, well, the people want this, but it's up to him. And if they're going to put that burden on his shoulders, then, he definitely ought to be able to decide.
As for Haugen, there's only one place Pratt says that he belongs.
Once he killed someone else, obviously, he doesn't need to be released from prison. He's lived his whole life there, and he's still a murderer, I don't think anybody wants him on the street.